for that, but I would like to try.
The Last of Us Part 1 came out of nowhere in 2013, and it brought a story and characters that we'll never forget. It was something very fresh at the time, and it was a game that really reinforced the story behind it, and it was one of those games that genuinely makes you feel something from the very beginning to the very end. Everything about The Last of Us Part 1 is perfect, but then The Last of Us 2 got announced and then came out.
Wait! Am I gonna play as Abby for a long time now?
I did not want to see a sequel, and somehow this was even more disappointing than I was expecting.
It feels as if Ellie just needs to vent by taking a homicidal rampage, and Joel's death is just an excuse for that.
Why are you helping us?
Because it's forced.
Let's have the first game where like you build this like great connection with Joel, and then let's ruin it.
This game was not well received when it first came out. A lot of people, including myself, did not like where they took the story. There was much controversy behind this game, and I'm here to discuss all of it. From the death of Joel, Abby as a character, the side characters, the deeper message, and how it ended, and plus the story as a whole. I believe this story was heavily misunderstood, and Naughty Dog wasn't afraid to take characters that we've known and give them real consequences, and take away the main character armor that we know. After 4 years, I have a completely different opinion on the game and characters involved.
What are you scared of?
Being by myself? I'm scared of ending up alone.
But if you agree or disagree with anything I say, just let me know what you think and leave a comment down below. And leaving a like and subscribing would help out a lot. This is somewhat of a remake to a video I made previously, and I'll be explaining everything I said in there a lot better. And if you've only played this game once, I highly recommend you play it again, and let's get right into it. First and foremost, let's start with the death of Joel. It happens in quite literally the first hour of the game and sets the whole narrative for the whole rest of the story. I did not see this coming at all, but I can't say that for the rest of the community. When the reveal trailer for Last of Us 2 came out, a lot of people assumed Joel to be dead, using clues that they found in the video. They thought that he was too clean to be in the setting that Ellie was in.
What are you doing, kiddo? You really gonna go through with this?
I'm gonna find and I'm gonna kill every last one of them.
So, Naughty Dog not wanting their whole plot to be revealed, they dropped a trailer where it seemed like Joel was alive on Ellie's journey.
You think I'd let you do this on your own?
I guess I'm gullible because this really did it for me, and I assumed that Joel was going to be there throughout the game, but I was so wrong. A lot of people took offense to that and claimed false advertising, and were really upset that they conned us like that, but I see it as Naughty Dog doing what they have to do. It definitely kept me wondering on what Last of Us 2 was really going to be about. There's 3 main controversies when it comes to Joel's death. The first is that he's not that naive. The second is that this wasn't a righteous death for a character that we love a lot. And third is that the character that killed him wasn't worthy of it. But to start with his death not being righteous, I can very much agree that it wasn't at all for a character that we've known. But the reality is that it's a death that he had coming. Now, I am in no way saying that he deserved to be beat to death by a golf club, but we need to look at the life that Joel lived. Last of Us 1 really enforces the fact that Joel was a ruthless individual, and that he did what he could to survive. He's feared among his community, and this quote from Tommy explains their life together well.
This is how you gonna repay me, huh?
Repay you?
For all those goddamn years I took care of us.
Took care. That's what you call it? I got nothing but nightmares from those years.
You survived because of me.
It wasn't worth it.
And even though we're rooting for him, he annihilated his way through a hospital to get to Ellie, killing a lot of people in the process, and made a very selfish decision to lie to her, even though that's what she would have wanted. Perspective and bias are words you're going to hear a lot in this video. And from our perspective and what we know happened to Joel, of course we'd want him to save Ellie, but the life he lived, the things he did caught up to him in a very terrible way. I didn't expect him to die so early, but I didn't expect him to die peacefully. I didn't expect him to get beaten to death, but that's what Naughty Dog chose, and I have to say they really have balls for that. Naughty Dog wasn't afraid to get rid of main character armor and give our characters real consequences, and unfortunately this was Joel's consequence, and the same follows for Ellie and Abby, but I'll talk about that later. And about Joel not being that naive is very true, but a lot of time passed since The Last of Us Part 1. Joel now lives in Jackson, a very friendly place where they try to make it as much as like the old world as possible, and Ellie also lives there with him, so his character in Part 2 is definitely a lot more at ease, and the situation they find turned Abby in, they have no other choice but to evacuate to that mansion. But little did he know or expect that people were looking for him for what he did, or had any trace of him. So it is true that he isn't naive, but how he died is very believable. And lastly, the person who did kill him, which is Abby, the next topic we're getting into, and just her character as a whole, and how overhated she is. Her character was the one that killed Joel, so that immediately set her up for failure. Immediately me, along with the rest of the community, hated her from the start, and all we wanted was to see Ellie get revenge for what she did. And this is where I bring up perspective again. I believe Naughty Dog's intention was to make us suffer from our own bias. Now I thought that was a bad thing at first, but having a bias is what can make or break this game for you. I let my bias of Ellie and Joel's story make me ignorant to Abby's story. She's an amazing, badass character, but Naughty Dog set her up for failure with this game's structure. In reality, she was the one that was done wrong first, and wanted revenge for the death of her father. But the first hour we see her, it's her killing one of our favorite characters. And then after that, you play through the next 10 hours on a revenge mission, looking for her for what she did, with little to no information on her or no screen time from her at all. When we finally get to her and find her, or finds us.
What do we do when we find him?
Just figure out how to get in first.
She kills Jesse, injures Tommy, and it makes it even harder for us to care about somebody like her. And right after that, we're left on a cliffhanger. After that, we have to play as her for the rest of the game. And like I said, Naughty Dog set her up for failure by making her structured like this. Of course we're gonna hate her and be annoyed that we have to play her after something like that. So the story they were trying to tell with her ended up not being cared about. So to put it bluntly, after replaying it many times, I had to grow up and see it from the other side. It's really hard to deny what Abby did after you put yourself in her shoes. After losing her loved one, she just wanted revenge. And if it were me, I would most likely want the same. She had a mission, trained half of her life for it, and then went out and got it done. You realize that she's a person that cares about her friends, a person that has compassion for others, and real fears, and real goals. And even though she achieved one of her main goals, she's still not at peace with herself. And even though she completed that goal, it came back to haunt her in the form of Ellie. Just like Joel's goal of saving Ellie came back to haunt him in the form of Abby. Naughty Dog is really reinforcing that there's two stories here, and showing that no matter who it is, any action will have a consequence, even if they're our main characters. And this goes for everybody in this world. It went for Mel, Owen, Dina, Ellie, Abby, Joel, Tommy, even Lev and Yara. Everybody's capable of having consequences to their actions. Which leads me into the next topic, which is the deeper message. And with this message, I know Naughty Dog was really trying to hit home with the fact that revenge has consequences, or that letting something go is the better choice. But I feel like it was something else. I feel like the story was trying to convey that anybody can be a villain in anybody's story. We love Joel and Ellie's story in part 1, and we feel like the villains are the ones that are going to take Joel's newfound daughter away from him, so we root for him in every sense. But then in part 2, we meet Abby, and realize that her villain is Joel, who took her father away from her. If we remove our bias on Ellie and Joel, then we're left realizing that there's no good side here, and that both are equally as bad. Joel killing the Fireflies was justified and necessary to him. Abby killing Joel was justified and necessary to her, and Ellie going for Abby was justified and necessary for her. And back then, I didn't care about Abby's revenge, but I genuinely had to see it from the other side. I was not going to enjoy this game if I let my bias take over. I was never going to respect any other characters other than the Jackson crew if I didn't take a step back. There was a lot of innocent people on both sides that got killed, but that was the price that both of them paid. Abby not being able to let it go resulted in almost everyone around her dying. She was only left with Lev, and because Ellie couldn't let it go, she came home to an empty house. They both quite literally opened the door to the trauma that drives them. They also both had moments where they realized that letting it go will help them. Abby can't sleep peacefully even after she completed her goal. She's only able to wake up peacefully after she found a new purpose in protecting Lev and Yara and bringing them to safety. She stops herself from killing Dina after she looks up at Lev and realizes that letting it go is just better. Ellie is able to think of Joel peacefully right as she has Abby on the brink of death, also thinking that letting it go would be better for her. Now, this may not be what we've wanted, but you can't let how good this game really is slip by because of bias. In this world, there's no plot armor to save anyone from anything, and it's tragic, yes, but it's really good. And I believe this story was meant to be a tragedy, and we can't expect what we want or a happy ending. Finally, I want to talk about a few genuine gripes I had within the story. As much as I said the story was about both sides, I still feel like Ellie lost way too much here. She lost Joel, she lost Jesse, her relationship with Tommy is ruined, and Dina left her. She even lost 2 of her fingers, losing her ability to play guitar, the only thing she can really remember Joel by. And I know Abby did lose a lot as well, but she left with somebody at least, while Ellie is literally left with nobody. She just lost way too much, but there is a chance that she can get redemption. Naughty Dog mentioned that they were working on another story within The Last of Us.
You know, we have written a story that takes place after Last of Us 2, and I hope one day we get to make it. I don't know if it'll be a game or a show, TBD.
so hopefully we get news on that soon. Another gripe I had is how bad they make you feel for Ellie's vengeance. I understand that they wanted to hit home that both sides can do wrong, but having us kill dogs that we're gonna later pet, play fetch with, and also later having us kill a pregnant woman, painted Ellie far worse than I hoped. They make it really obvious that they're trying to make Ellie seem like she's doing too much for her revenge, but I wish they didn't go to these lengths. My final gripe was still having to play as Abby for the Ellie boss fight. It was really interesting being on the other side and seeing Ellie from another view.
This is all on you!
But it is pretty annoying having to choke out a character that you've known for a while. And as much as I said good things about Abby in this video, we already had our fill of playing her and it was time to play as Ellie again. But they didn't give that to us. I would have very much preferred if we played as Ellie and still lost, but that's just not what happened here. It's really cool to see how scary Ellie can be, but when it came to choking her out, I just couldn't do it. Even though The Last of Us Part 1 ended on a good note, that just wasn't the purpose of Last of Us 2. This story was meant to teach us something, and show us that everybody's human. I highly recommend that if you only played it once that you play it again. Your opinion may change or it may not, but like I said, if you agree or disagree with anything I said, just let me know in the comments. I like making these kind of videos to discuss these topics, so negativity isn't necessary. But if you stuck around this long, leaving a like would be really appreciated, and subscribing would be great because I'm gonna be making content like this all the time. And thank you so much for watching.